What's up, everyone? My name is Harold Durana. Today, I want to talk about what it really takes to become a top producer. And when I think about top producers, I always come back to this. It's simple, but it's not easy. A lot of people want the results. They want the sales. They want the income. They want the recognition, but they don't want to become the person that those results require. And the truth is, to become a top producer, you have to shed your old self. You have to become more disciplined. You have to become more organized. You have to become more consistent. You have to become someone better. There are really 4 parts to being a top producer: schedule, lead flow, presentation, and organization. Let's start with schedule. Your schedule is important because you need proper hours of operation. Just like any other business, you need an open time and a close time. You need to know when you mentally clock in and when you mentally clock out. If you work from home, this becomes even more important because when you work from home, it's easy to get distracted, it's easy to start late, it's easy to take too many breaks, it's easy to act like you're working but not really be working. So set your hours and stick to them. If you have an office at home, put your hours of operation on the door. Let your family know, let yourself know, this is work time, because if you don't respect your schedule, nobody else will either. The second part is leads. You hear me say this all the time. Lead flow is cash flow. Without leads, you have no business. You need leads coming in every week. A lot of agents get lead stress because they're trying to squeeze every little thing out of the few leads they have. They call the same leads over and over. They get frustrated. They start pressing. They start sounding desperate, and it shows. When you only have a few leads to work, everything feels stressful. But when you know you have leads coming in every week, you operate differently. You're calmer, you're more confident. You don't feel like every single person has to buy. You can actually run your business the right way. So stop treating leads like an expense only. Leads are inventory. Leads are opportunity. Leads are what give you a business to work. The third part is your presentation. The reality is, without direction, where are you going? Most people can't even make it around their own hometown without GPS. So why would you try to run a sales presentation with no direction? Winging it does not work. You need to know where you are going at all times. You need an introduction. You need to explain who you are and why you're calling. You need to set the agenda for the appointment. You need discovery. You need health questions. You need finance questions. You need to present 3 options. Then you move into the application. That's a real presentation. Don't turn your appointment into a ramble session. Don't talk just to talk. Don't confuse the client. A properly structured presentation gives you confidence, gives the client clarity, and gives the appointment direction. The fourth part is organization. And I'll say it like this. If you are a mess, your business will be a mess. You need to track your numbers. You need to know your KPIs. You need to know how many people you call every day, how many people you talk to, how many people you schedule, how many presentations, how many sales you make, how much AP you write. You need to know your close ratio. You need to know how many leads it takes you to make a sale. You need to know how much AP you average every time you sell, because data tells you everything you need to know. When you track your numbers, you stop guessing. You stop managing your business off emotion. You stop saying, I feel like I'm working hard. The numbers will tell you if you are. And once you know your numbers, now you know how to scale. You know how many leads you need to buy. You know how many calls you need to make. You know how many appointments you need to sit. That's when your business becomes predictable. And when it becomes predictable, it becomes scalable. Organization also means client management. You need to have access to your client notes, health information, finance information, follow-up dates, and application status. Because clients will call you, carriers will follow up, applications will need attention. And if you're unorganized, things fall through the cracks. You also need to track commissions. You need to know what you're getting paid. You need to know what's pending. You need to know what charged back, because this is a business. And if you're a manager, this is even more important. You need to know your agent's KPIs, not just their production, their activity, their calls, their presentations, their sales, their close ratio. Because when you know the numbers, managing becomes easier. You can see where the problem is. You can inspect what you expect. Now, the last thing I want to say is this. Your family has to be on the same page. Your spouse, your kids, your parents, your siblings, whoever is close to you. They need to know your goals. They need to understand why you're working so hard. Because the truth is, they are the reason we do this. Family first. But family first does not mean you avoid the work. Family first means you do the work because you're building something better for them. So here's the task I want to leave you with. Grab a piece of paper and a pen. Not your phone, not your notes app, a real piece of paper. Write down all the characteristics of the ideal agent. What does that person look like? How do they work? How do they talk? How do they handle pressure? How organized are they? How consistent are they? How do they show up every day? Then narrow that list down to the top 10 characteristics. Take that paper and put it on the wall in your office. Look at it every day and then become that agent, because the person who succeeds and the person who quits have one thing in common. They were both self-made, so choose your self-made wisely. Thank you, everyone.